It's October, so we're starting to get some cool mornings. That means that the bait fish are starting to kind of leave the deeper parts of the lake and start heading towards the creeks and towards the backs of the creeks. And I'm out here trying to target those first places that they're going to stop close to the mouth of those creeks. I'm looking for primary points, secondary points, any type of hump that may be on a deeper flat, any place that is high probability area for a group of fish to be sitting. And right here, this is something that in my opinion, is a high probability area. This is a deeper flat, kind of at the mouth of this main cove, close to the main lake, and there's a hump right here. And up on the top side of it, there's a little bit of a point that kind of juts off of it, and there's also a major creek bed. This is a shallow flat that's kind of out here in front of me. That creek bed's like a highway for them fish to travel up and down, where these fish can kind of come over here, sit on a higher spot, probably a harder bottom, maybe a shell bed or clay bottom, to ambush this bait. And already we see 8 or 10 on down scan, and then there's definitely more on side scan as well. Let's stand up there, see if we can catch a few. Go right there. First cast. Come here, buddy. Got him in the back. Means that they were fighting over it. You know, we graphed over there and we saw several fish. And first cast right there with a crankbait. It'll either been bass. See if we can get in there and get another one. I love a crankbait first cast when it's early post spawn and then in the fall time. Just because they're chasing bait a lot, so I'm gonna imitate the first thing that's going to imitate that bait fish that they're chasing, that threadfin shad. The other reason I like to do a crankbait is because I can fire that school up. You got a chance with the crankbait to really fire up the school and to catch them every cast with a crankbait. And you can catch them faster, obviously, with a crankbait versus, dragging a Carolina rig or something like that. Put a little deeper plug on just because this one isn't quite getting down to the right depth. I've actually pulled the school closer to me in a little bit deeper water. Very rarely will that crankbait go over the top of them and they'll come up and eat it. They want that bill digging into the mud or into that hard bottom to create those reaction strikes. When I'm fishing a school of fish like this, if I can, I like to bring my bait with the wind. So the wind is in our face, it's out of the north today, and that allows me to spot lock into the wind and kind of use my Garmin live scope, in conjunction. It's panning back and forth as its own spot lock. And what I can do is I can see as that school of fish kind of moves along the bottom, kind of left and right on this point. And when I find a group of them sitting there just like that, I'm gonna pick it up on the head of my trolling motor, and I know I'm gonna make that cast right there. The key with a crankbait is long cast. And I think that's the #1 key, because you want to get that crankbait down there to that depth that those fish are in and as quick as possible. So sometimes I like to really crank on it hard when it first hits the water to try to get it down to my desired depth quicker. So once that crankbait kind of hits the bottom and I know it's at the depth I need it to be, sometimes I like to kind of reel real fast and pause my reel, and that kind of creates an erratic action of that crankbait. Maybe it entices that one fish that, potentially following it. That one locked it up pretty good. Of course, he pulled off. Okay, and going back down too is a big one. Goodness. There's another one. Back-to-back cast, got bit right there. Pulled off on me. How do they throw anything that has that many hooks hanging off it just beside me? I've got them fired up now. It's 3 casts in a row I've gotten bit. But I know there's some good fish down there. I've seen a couple. I lost one a while ago. It's just a numbers game. What we got here? A little fella. So fun. Make one more color change just to see Maybe that entices a little bit bigger fish to bite. You know, this water is kind of a stainish color. So typically, you know, a chartreuse powder blue or something with a chartreuse blue back with a little lime green chartreuse on the belly can really be good in this color water. Locked it up a little better. You know, so just a color change right there triggered a little bit better fish to bite. This one's starting to get a little gut feeding up for wintertime. There we go. Stay hooked up. They're so fun. They don't get you. You know, I had that one outside, and the front hook was in his front mouth. So, you know, they're trying to get it good, almost sideways, and that's what you want. When you start getting them by the back hook or something like that, you know, it needs to be a color change. You know, just like I lost a few fish on a different color, I swapped to this one, and they seem to be getting it a little better. All right, so let me tell you about my setup that I love when I'm deep cranking out here on Toledo or anywhere where I'm finding deep schools. First off, the rod. The rod is super important when it comes to deep cranking. You know, it allows you to you know, throw a big crankbait all day. I like a longer rod. A 710 is what I like. A mag heavy or a heavy, but it's not like a flipping stick heavy. It's more of a parabolic bend, and the heaviness is down here more towards the rail handle to allow you to crank those bigger plugs. You know, whether it's, you know, 15 foot all the way to those 25 foot divers. My favorite rod for deep cranking is the Bass Pro Shops cranking stick. Line size, for me, it's almost always 12-pound fluorocarbon. Typically with a 12-pound test, this crankbait right here, it's going to get down to about 17 feet or so. Reel setup, I like a slower gear ratio reel. This is a 6/8-to-1 Bass Pro Shops Platinum Series. You know, it's less fatigue on me for throwing this, you know, throughout the whole day. I can speed up my retrieve if I need to, or slow down if I need to, depending on what those fish are feeling that day. And there's definitely certain crankbaits that I like to go with. You know, obviously, this one right here is kind of a citrus shad color, got a chartreuse hue to it with a bluish back, kind of whitish belly. You know, I also like to go to more like a green gizzard shad. You know, it all depends on water clarity, clouds, sun, and I throw a few different brands. But yeah, that's my setup. It'll help you catch more fish in the future. I made the first cast with a crankbait that was diving around 13, 14 foot. And I caught one first cast, and it kind of moved that school just a couple feet deeper, pulled out another crankbait that goes, you know, roughly 3 foot deeper. You know, I lost a few. They were having the back hook, they were just pulling off, they weren't getting that crankbait very good. And typically that relates to more of a color. So I decided to reach in my box, grab a color that works really good in this kind of more stained water. And that was definitely key to start really catching a few more fish and getting them fired up. If I had only one bait to use the rest of my life, it's gonna be a deep diving crankbait. I know I'm different. There's probably not a lot of people that have that opinion. That's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it.